festival where I'll be talking to award-winning director Bruce Beresford, who's showcasing his new film, Mao's Last Dancer. It's an amazing, this film, you've been working on it for what, almost 3-4 years?
Which one?
The Mao's
No,
Last
not
Dancer.
that long.
Really?
No, that it happened quickly, actually. I mean, we finished it about a year ago.
Okay.
Now. And then they were holding up the release because they wanted to get a whole lot of release things in order to be able to go out instead of doing it too piecemeal. Now, we finished it a fair while ago. And
how many different locations were you on for this film?
Oh, that was complicated because we filmed in China.
Okay.
And we're in Beijing and we're out in the countryside. And then we're in Sydney filming all the ballet stuff.
Okay.
And then in Texas, where it all takes place, filming a lot of exteriors and highways and things like that. It was quite complicated.
So how about, what was it like filming in China? How was the reception? Because you were portraying the 70s.
Well, that was hard to do because, you see, the cameraman had been over there in that period doing documentaries. And when we got off the plane, he couldn't believe it. He said, when I was here in the 70s, he said, I never saw a car, not one. And now you go there and you've never seen so many cars in your life. And so recreating that era was quite difficult.
I can imagine in Beijing. Oh
very
my gosh.
difficult. We had to get bits of buildings on the outskirts of town and all that kind of thing.
Like at 3 a.m. or something? Night scenes?
No, we could do it and we found some areas with the help of a Chinese art director. But it was tricky.
Okay. How do you think the reception's going to be in China? I think they're going to love it.
I don't think they'll show it. It's already there on DVD, bootleg,
all right.
because the Chi Chow, the leading actor, told me his father went out in the street and bought 100 copies.
Oh, no. Well, that's not what you want to hear.
No.
It's horrible.
That kind of piracy is destroying the film industry. Yeah. Now when you're trying to make films, you have to do them. I mean, this one I'm doing in America is on a very low budget. And they say, we can't get any more budget because everybody watches the films for nothing. They said, we've got to take that into account when we make them.
What was it like to work with Morgan Freeman, for example?
Oh, well, he's great. He's a wonderful actor. I mean, the first time I worked with him on Driving Miss Daisy, of course, he was completely unknown.
I remember him from the Electric Company as a kid.
That's right.
That's how
I remember him in the Electric Company. Yeah. And he'd worked in... it was quite actually handy having him in the film because he'd had so many jobs in his life that no matter what went wrong, he could fix it. Like we'd be there and there'd be a short or something or some technical thing would go wrong and he'd say, what is it? And I'd say, well, it's all fused. Oh, he says, let me at it. He'd go and fix it,
So
and then the car would go wrong and he'd say, well, he'd say, what is it? And I said, the car won't start. He says, right, put the hood up. Morgan's in there. Boom, starts. And I said, how can you do all these things? And he said, I've had so many jobs. He said, I've done everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, what is your philosophy on directing and working with actors? Because that's always such a tricky situation, especially when you have a newcomer like in this film who's never acted before. How do you make them feel at ease on the set?
Well, the trick really is to cast the right people. I mean, once you've done that, it's relatively easy because they sort of slide into it. If you make a mistake with the casting, it can be in really...
Have you ever had to fire anyone and think this isn't the right person, or did you just go through it and change things to cast wrong?
I guess I've worked with a few who I thought weren't quite right. But, because sometimes with the studios, you get people where they'll say, we'll only finance the film if you use so-and-so. And you think, well, they're wrong. And a couple of times I've not done the films, and then a couple of times I've done them with people I thought were wrong. And it turned out I was right. The films didn't work. But of course, I then got blamed. But, I really only had myself to blame, because my instinct had told me it was a mistake.
It seems like your instinct is really strong. I mean, you come up with, you say this screenplay is going to work. How do you determine what's going to work and what isn't?
Well, I think really it's a matter of me being able to say, I can make this one work. I really respond to it, now I can make it work. And I sometimes get scripts that I think are quite good, but I know I couldn't direct them.
Is there something that you wanted to direct and haven't been to, and it's just like your dream to film something like a novel
I've got there's a number of films that I've got about 5 or 6 scripts of films I've never made that I think would be better than any of the films I have made, but I've never been able to get the money.
Well, we need to find some financing for you.
You do, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'd love to do those
Singapore
films.
is good for financing, I think.
No, but sometimes it's very difficult.
Pitching
Sometimes
is
you
hard.
have, yes, I mean, sometimes you get scripts and you think, my God, it's just so wonderful. Everyone's going to leap at it. And people are yawning and falling asleep all over the place.
don't
You
get
think, why are they behaving like that? Well, it was a bit like that with Driving Miss Daisy, where nobody wanted to make it. And everybody hated the script. And we kept getting readers' reports saying how lousy it was. And one day I sat down with Richard Zanuck after about 2 years of trying to get the money. And I said, is it possible, Richard, that all these people who tell us the script is lousy are right and that you and I are wrong? And he said, no, it's not possible. He said, they're all wrong and we're right. And if we hang on long enough, we will make this film.
We'll hang on to those
and
five.
eventually we did, you know.
And I'm so glad you did, because I love that movie.
Yeah.
I just love that movie.
We were lucky to have got it done. I know a couple of times I thought it was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a well-observed film. I mean, the writer wrote it about his grandmother and her chauffeur.
Wow.
It was all true story.
Such a friendship.
And we
such a
filmed
true
it in the
friendship.
place where it all happened, you know, so
Awesome.
that was good.
Yeah, really neat. Well, thank you so much for your time. I wish you
Okay,
all the
what are you
best
gonna
with
do
this
with that?
film.
I was just raving.
It's going to be on a blog.
Oh.
And you're going to be all over the world tomorrow morning.
Well, who have
No,
I
just kidding.
offended this time?
No, you haven't offended anyone. You're very impressive.
Okay.
Thank you.